Hi, everyone. So today we have a question from our Facebook community about acne scars. And if you haven't joined the community, you have questions, definitely sign up and you will get access to our dermatologists and estheticians to help answer your questions. So the question from Bianca is, hi there. May I know if I can use Lighten Up and Dark Mark Defense together? I'm not sure which are considered to be red spots and which are dark marks, as some of my post-acne scars look purplish. So the short answer to your question is it really depends on the age of the scar. So if the scar is 2 to 3 weeks old, anywhere from when the pimple is flattened to the 3-week mark, I would say you should use Lighten Up. However, if it's been past 3 weeks, you should look to switch to the dark mark defense, as that will start to take over to make sure that that area doesn't collect melanin. So what do I mean by that? So here is a larger scar that this woman has on her shoulder. And so what happens is when your skin is split open like this, and acne scar will be very similar, right? The body will freak out because there's open tissue being exposed to UV radiation. And what it'll do is in a natural response, just like you would in a suntan, it'll generate melanin to try to protect that fresh tissue. And that's going to give you about a, SPF 2 or 3. That's it. But that's the body's natural response to being exposed to UV, and it'll deposit extra in this area because this is fresh tissue and it doesn't want to be radiated with UV. Now, once the wound heals, you see all the redness has gone away, but that melanin that's deposited inside that fresh tissue can stay up to 2 years. And so once it's deposited like this, it's really the realm of the dark mark defense to help to dissipate this melanin and get it back to a normal skin tone. Okay, so that's the short answer. Now, the longer answer, when you tell me purplish skin, that usually tells me that this is tissue damage. And so what do we mean by that? So what we have here is a diagram of acne and how it forms. So as we all know, everything begins with a clog in your pore. As that clog happens, and again, a pore is only a fraction wider than the width of a hair. So just imagine how narrow that is, right? As that clog stops the blockage, the flow of sebum, sebum starts to pool, and in that pool, P. acnes bacteria, which is on all healthy skin, to break down the sebum, starts to pool up and starts to flourish. And as it starts to flourish, an infection starts to happen in your pore. This is when red blood and white blood starts to come to defend the body against infection. And this is when you start to see that kind of swelling and that hardness still underneath the skin. You may not even, see anything visibly on your skin, but you'll feel it, that hard lump that happens. And I cannot stress to you how important it is to prevent tissue damage. And your 50-year-old self will thank me for that, because once you have these extreme pimples that stretch and damage your tissue, it will leave that kind of dead blood mark on your skin. Or on the flip side, if you decide to use your finger and, or even a tool and try to pop this right, you're going to cause some tissue damage. And some people may think, oh, well, I'm really, really careful. I mean, look, the reality is, again, the pore is only a fraction wider than a hair. So your fingernails or even some tool like a metal loop, right, no matter what, is going to be touching tissue, right? And so really you just want to avoid getting to this point. And what I mean by that is that later in life, you may be able to get away with it while you're young because you're still producing a lot of excess collagen. But as you get older, and you see this in some people, their collagen structure starts to collapse. And this is when the rolling and boxcar scars start to appear, you know, in, in men and women in their 50s, is when their collagen structure starts to erode. And then all of this tissue damage, right, that was filled in by collagen while you were young starts to go away, and you see more and more cratering of the skin. Okay? So again, how do we get away from this? Actually, the best tool is not line up or dark mark defense. The best tool would be clear out and stop spot. So clear out, I cannot stress to you, is our gold standard because it gets rid of the clog and it stops those from building up to even become a pimple. Because without a clog, acne doesn't even happen at all. So if clear out is very good at flushing out those clogs before they can accumulate, you're not going to have those pimples come up anymore. But in the advent that you do, this formulation called Stop Spot in the US and outside of the US called Calm Down is excellent. And what it does is, even before you start to see any redness, if you feel that hard lump underneath your skin, start to use Stop Spot regularly, 3 to 5 times, keeping that area wet. And the salicylic, glycolic, sulfur, and farsenol inside that formulation will basically stop that spot dead in its track, and it'll stop that inflammation. And what we'll see for most users, as long as they're diligent, is that the spot will stop growing, and then over time it'll actually shrink automatically as you keep using Stop Spot. In a lot of cases, there is no red pimple when you use this product. Now that said, if the clog is that large, it's still, there's only one way it has to come out. It will cause some irritation, but it won't stretch as much of you and it won't cause as much tissue damage, and it'll go away a lot faster when using Stop Spot. A lot of people can definitely attest to that. Now, going back to, if in the advent that you do have a spot that does come up, line up, yes, is the most appropriate thing to use after that pimple is flattened. And you can see here with Carly, especially people with fair skin and sensitive skin, their red marks last a long time. So line up will really help to speed that up to get rid of it. Because again, if this is exposed to UV, that's why you see there's a bit of brown here. Right now, she's from the UK, so there's not as much sun, but still you're going to see some brownness. And that takes a long time to get rid of, especially someone with fair skin. So you really want to get rid of the red mark as soon as possible so it doesn't have that much opportunity to be exposed by UV. Now, if it does get exposed by UV and it turns brown, like you can see with some of Carly's spots here, my recommendation is to use Dark Mark Defense. And Dark Mark Defense, it uses 4-NBR and tranexamic acid. These two have lots of medical research in helping to dissipate that kind of, melanin deposit in your skin. And you can even see that here with Alicia. She didn't even have acne here. This was actually just a spot that she had for years. And just in, I believe it was in just 2 months, this was already gone. It was completely removed. And that's because we starved this spot by using those 2 key ingredients within Dark Mark Defense. Now you can see here with Barbara, she had acne for a long time. And what the problem is, that red spot, right, got exposed. And then once it turned brown, most of this is old acne. You can see most of this, the scars she has is acne that probably happened a year ago. And the problem was not her active acne, it was actually all this scarring. This is a perfect candidate where you can lighten up here on these fresh marks and at the same time, dark mark defense on these brown spots. And you can see here, within a year, he's gotten to clear skin and she's maintained clear skin since while using Clear Out. So the products you work, it's really great. If I were to talk to anyone new about this, use Clear Out first, Stop Spot, then Lighten Up, then Dark Mark Defense. I would put it in that order of how you treat all these problems. And as long as you stay consistent with our products, you will see clear skin.